Okay, so you guys, I want to talk about this accountability thing because this is the number one complaint that I see going up and down my timeline from men is this lack of accountability that a lot of women have when it comes to a lot of different aspects, but mostly when it comes to not wanting to take accountability for their actions, not wanting to take accountability for their unrealistic expectations and just stuff like that. So I wanted to just kind of point out a few things of reasons why I think that a lot of women will curve accountability. Reason number one is lack of emotional maturity. And so what I mean by that, I'm not even sure if emotional maturity is even really a real thing, but that's the best description, but that's the best name that I can give it. I think that a person who is not emotionally mature is led by their ego because their ego is not going to allow for them to look, actually take a look in the mirror at themselves and say, you know what, this is wrong. You know what, I should not have done that. Even if they know deep down inside that something that they did was wrong or they should have maybe made some other decisions. They are not going to be emotionally mature enough to actually express that to another person because they want to wear this shell that is guided by their ego. That's like, look, ain't nobody is going to know that I'm wrong. I don't want nobody to know that I know that I'm wrong. And I'm going to fight you to the death before I'll fess up and say, you know what, I shouldn't have did that. That probably was wrong. And then that probably goes hand in hand with emotional intelligence. They a lot of times may not even realize that they're being led by their ego and that their ego is really the reason why they're not mature enough to actually have some level of conflict resolution as opposed to be just being completely resistant to any criticism, not being able to handle other people's opinions of them if it doesn't match up to what they want to hear or doesn't match up to their own self-perception. It's really just this feeling of, I just don't want to be wrong. And even if I am wrong, I don't want you to know that I'm wrong. And what does that sound like? It sounds like immaturity. Now, I did want to add in this one point though, because if you're talking about women being having a lack of accountability, if you're talking about the women that you're scrolling through on social media, that you're going back and forth with in somebody's comment section, if you're looking for accountability from somebody that you don't know, that's a lost cause because well, aside from the emotional maturity and the ego thing, if somebody doesn't know you and you are kind of coming at them with your finger pointing in their face and metaphorically speaking, finger pointing in their face and trying to tell them about themselves, what they're going to be looking at you like, well, who are you? I don't even know you. Why? Like, I don't have to explain anything to you because I don't even know you. You're nothing to me. Like, that's just how people are going to see it. So you're probably not going to get far if we're talking about people who you don't know on the internet. If we're talking about accountability in women that that are in your everyday life, then that's a separate conversation. Now, this lack of emotional maturity leads to deflection, which is another complaint that I see a lot of men have about women. And I see this too. It's a deflection. So, like, let's say if you want to address a certain situation or if you want to ask a question and it's uncomfortable to her, what she'll notice is she'll flip the conversation around or she'll start to point at you and say, well, you do this or men do this or that. And the question at hand is actually never answered. It's usually deflected and put into a whole nother, now the conversation, now we're on a wholly, totally different conversation that was never supposed to be in the first place. And that deflection is because that particular woman is not ready to actually have the conversation at hand. So instead of actually addressing the real issue of, like, let's say if we're talking about, you know, why did you wait until you were, 42 years old with five kids by five different men. Now all of a sudden you want to settle down and get married to a man who makes $100,000 a year. You know, the conversation oftentimes will be deflected like, well, men, y'all do this or y'all do the same thing and y'all have, six different baby mamas. And instead of actually answering, okay, this is the reason why, you know what? I messed up. When I grew up, I didn't have a father in my life and I didn't understand, what love actually looked like. So every time I met Pookie or Ray Ray, I fell in love very easily because I was the love that I was looking for that I never had. So instead of actually saying something like that, it's, well, you do it too. Well, men are worse because men do this. And it's just that's a whole that all encompasses that lack of emotional maturity, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and stuff like that. It's kind of like that old saying, like, only a hit dog is hurt. So a lot of times when you address a situation with somebody or you're trying to address a situation with somebody and they feel some type of way about it, it's like that internal crushing feeling. It's like, I don't really even want to address that. I would prefer to just change the subject because I'm not really ready to have that conversation. So because I'm not ready and I don't have any good excuses and I don't really know how to really answer this in a way that makes me look good, I need to just change the subject completely. And this brings me to reason number two of why I think that a lot of women lack accountability or just don't want to be held accountable to anything. Okay. And I'm actually going to play this clip from Love Dorsey because I really feel like she articulated this really, really well when it comes to the lack of a male figure in a woman's life as she's growing up, that lack of not having a father. So I want to play this clip for you guys because she was spot on with this and it's gonna and lead me kind of to my next point.
For women, we're going off of emotion. It feels like you're doing something to me, even though you're not. It feels like you're doing something to me. And most females that never had a father in their life, they will take that type of communication and equate it to he trying to control me, he trying to manipulate me, he trying. This is the verbiage you get back. Even though as a man, bro, I'm trying to protect you, I'm trying to provide. I'm a good man. Like I'm a father. Don't you see me taking care of my son by myself? Like I care about kids, I care about fixing shit, I care about you not opening doors. But when we missing the male part of our upbringing, this is where we get to as adults. And so it comes off like you constantly doing something to me every time you're talking to me. Most women nowadays trying to date that came from a single mother household, they cannot take constructive criticism from a man, take stern like handling from a man. But you don't even let me or want me to make decisions about money by myself. You don't even want me to, give you my opinions or, just lay the law on how I want stuff, but yet you scream and be a man, but at the same time, you don't know how to shut the fuck up and just be a woman and not cross over into the man category. And everybody around you that you go to, they're always going to side with the viewpoint of the woman being correct because they don't know what it feels like.
And the reason why I wanted to play that for you guys is not to deflect from the conversation of accountability at that we have at hand, and make this into about, well, men, the reason why women are like this is all men's fault. And because, we got so many absent fathers and blah, 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 blah. But I can't have this conversation without going backwards and actually going a little bit deeper and saying, okay, where is this stuff rooting from? Because everything has a foundation. So the foundation of why somebody would be egotistical and would not want to have accountability, there's always something deeper than what we can see on the surface. And so I like the point of what she's making about about women who grow up without a father in their life, because that's something that I noticed too. Like a lot of women who grow up without fathers, they don't know how to take direction from a man because they didn't see that growing up. They did not see the dynamic between a man and a woman and how conflicts were resolved between a man and a woman. They were raised by only seeing a female. They were raised by seeing a female who was the head honcho, who didn't take no mess because she had to be the leader. She was the provider. So they're looking at their moms as these strong, independent women, and they don't understand how to even take any leadership from a man or any direction from a man or any like stern talking from a man. Like she was saying, it's like everything that you say sounds like an attack. A lot of these moms, a lot of women who have to raise children by themselves do express more of their masculine side than they do their feminine side because of them having to play all of these different roles and raise their kids by themselves. They're not really operating a lot of times in their femininity. So then it's like when they raise their daughter, the daughter grows up to be this woman that's looking at men like, I mean, who are you? Like, why should I listen to you? I don't have to answer to you. I don't need to be accountable for anything to you because who are you? And you notice that a lot of women who get into relationships with men that have never had a father, never really had a strong, prominent male figure in their life, they talk to their men crazy. Like they, those are the main ones that's like finger in the face. Like their interactions with men mimic the interactions and the conflicts that they have with other women. Like they don't understand. It's like, girl, you don't talk to your man the same way that you talk to your homegirls. Your man is not your homegirl. Your man is your man. But see, they don't know how to navigate that. They don't know really the difference because they didn't see it growing up. And see, for me, it's a little bit difficult for me to understand or really wrap my mind around that because I didn't grow up that way. I grew up in a two-parent household where, my dad he was the leader, the protector, the provider of the household. And my mom was the feminine woman. She was more of like the submissive woman. And so that was the dynamic that I grew up with. And all of the women that were around me and the relationships that were around me were like that. So a lot of these new school relationships where it's all of this backwards switched around roles and there's a lot of conflicts and a lot of fighting, that all of that still feels very foreign to me. And the sad part about it is that because a lot of women grow up without fathers, they end up looking for love in all the wrong places when it comes to men. They don't know what legitimate love is. They equate attention, even if it's only sexual attention, as a form of love. They don't recognize when a man is actually into them. So they end up getting into these messy relationships with the first guy that shows them attention, and then you end up in this repetitive cycle where you have all these, you have multiple kids or multiple different men. And when somebody goes to ask you about it later in life, you're not prepared emotionally to answer those questions. You're not prepared to really go within and self and say, you know what? I did I did make a mistake because I didn't really know what love actually looked like. I don't know that there's really any solution to, a woman who is operating from a place of hurt that she doesn't even realize is there. And she's like, she cannot be accountable and she doesn't want to be held accountable for anything. She doesn't want to have these tough conversations because she hasn't even really addressed these issues with herself. And that kind of brings me to my last point. So the lack of the male figure, the prominent male strong figure in her life growing up leads me to my next point, which would be lack of respect. If you don't grow up with an authoritative male voice and when a man is coming at you, every time he says something to you, it feels like an attack and you don't really understand masculinity or manhood, you also don't have a healthy respect for it at all. I think that by a lot of women not truly understanding men, it leads to them actually not respecting them. So, this like I don't, them not really understanding the way a man thinks. They don't even want to understand how a man thinks. It leads to a lack of respect. And so That's why you get a lot of this combative energy. To me, being combative, especially if it's not, if there's really no excuse for it, like let's say if you just out here playing games and with people's emotions and you're getting a lot of combative energy because of how you're of what you're doing to somebody, that's different. But if there's really no reason for her to be combative with you and she's being combative, to me, that's really like a lack of respect. That there's something there. It's either something between your relationship or there's something inside her that is creating a lack of respect. And I'll admit, you guys, there's a lot of layers to this. I cannot go into every single layer that probably has to do with the reason why a lot of women will avoid accountability. But those are the things that come to mind for me. That's based off of my experience, that's based off of my observations, that's based off of me being a woman myself. And really, just some women, and not even just women, but we're talking about women. Some women are just egotistical, wherever it comes from, rather if it comes from daddy issues, rather if it comes from past bad choices in men and, terrible relationship dynamics. Some women are just egotistical. And it's like, look, I can't be wrong in under no circumstance can I let you be right or for you to think that you're right. I gotta be right at all times. Now, if that's the type of woman that you're dealing with, you need to change up your pool because not all women are like that. Some women are agreeable, some women are kind and feminine and, things like that. They're not operating solely in their masculinity, they're not being combative. S- Not all women are like that, you guys. So don't just give all your attention to the women who are not accountable, who cannot apologize, who are egotistical, who have daddy issues that are unresolved, who don't want to understand you, who don't care about you, who just want to be, arrogant and think that the world is supposed to revolve around them. You don't have to deal with those women, y'all. Some of y'all are choosing to deal with those women. So let me know what you guys think about all of this. What are your thoughts about women and accountability? I mean, do you think that I'm kind of going in the right direction? Do you think I'm way off? Just let me know in the comment section. We can talk about it. Make sure you like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so and you want to see more content from me. And yeah, so I'll just see you guys next time.